I'm really excited about this new version of Capture One that was just released. It's going to be a game changer for commercial photographers. There's some features in here that are going to be great for every photographer, but there's one feature that's going to be phenomenal for people like me. Before I get into this video, I need to let you know that this is not a sponsored video. It is, however, a video that was requested by Capture One. They have given me a 1-year license for their all-in-one tier. They have no editorial say. They don't have to review anything. I don't have to pass anything by them. They, in fact, said they want my honest opinion and feedback. So while this is an open and honest review, because I now have a financial relationship with Capture One, I am not completely objective. So keep that in mind. Okay, so this is Capture One version 16.5, and you can get it as a standalone license for Capture One Pro with updates through all the subversions of 16.5. You can also get Capture One Pro on subscription. They have the Pro subscription, they have an all-in-one subscription, and they have Capture One Studio, which is a version of Capture One that has some more advanced features. You can find a video in the description below of the differences between Capture One Pro and Capture One Studio that I created when that came out, and I'll link to that. Okay, so we're going to start off with the performance improvements. We have some quality of life improvements for tethering, and new to this version, we have a notification sound that will go off when a camera is connected or disconnected. So if you lose your tethering connection while you're shooting, you will get a notification sound to let you know that the connection has been severed. And then when you successfully reconnect your connection, that notification sound will go off again. We also have new error messages, and the error messages have been rewritten to give you actionable advice, like here's the problem, here's what to do. One of those error messages is to indicate whether or not your camera is supported, and another one is to let you know if your camera is busy in another application. So on the toolbar now we have a battery icon, and also the capture icon now shows whether the camera is connected or not. And the battery icon is going to show you how much life is left in the battery. In the studio only version, there are a number of updates to the client viewers. So client viewers can now display guides, the overlay tools, before and after slider, the crop overlays, AI crops can all be displayed in the client viewers. You can now also display multiple images in the client viewers using the follow select or the pin selected modes. And you can pin multiple images in the client viewers when you're choosing pin selected. For iPhone users, you can now change the base characteristics from the Apple Pro Raw to Capture One's Pro Standard, which is a better profile for iPhone. As an Android user, I would like to see profiles developed for Android phones, such as my Google Pixel. My guess would be that most Android RAW profiles are going to be similar. And Android phones have had the capability to do that longer than iPhones have. So it's a little frustrating for me that Android users and Windows users tend to get left behind in the development cycle of Capture One products. I would like to see more attention paid to non-Apple users in just across the board. iPhones only have 25% of the global market. The other 75% of us, the majority of us that outnumber iPhone users 3-1, use Android. I would like to see development for Android in the future. So starting with Capture One 16.5, which is this new version, Capture One is introducing content credentials. And these are verified credentials that can be embedded into a JPEG file or a TIFF file at the export level. You can now do that in the Export Content Credentials tool, separate tool that you can put in your tool tab. Content credentials embed credentials into the content itself. So what credentials those are like who the producer is. That would be me or you as the producer of the image. You can also indicate like what adjustments and have been made to an image. You want to keep in mind that this is currently in beta, and it's going to be in beta for a while because the open source libraries that Capture One is using from the Coalition for Content provenance and authority, those open source libraries are themselves still in beta. Now, this does require an internet connection. I believe the request is sent up to the server, the credentials are created at the server level, and then they're sent back and embedded into the file. We're only increasing the file size by maybe 10 kilobytes to 100 kilobytes, which is insignificantly small. Okay, so similarly, we can now sync our settings through cloud settings, which aims to simplify the management of your preferences and customizations across multiple devices. Now, this is great. I work off of my desktop and my laptop at the studio. The fact that I can now sync my keyboard shortcuts across both my devices is wonderful. Your settings can also be synced to the iPhone and the iPad apps, the mobile apps for Capture One. And so you can take your local settings, move them up to the cloud, and then pull them down into your iPad or your iPhone and have those settings there. There is some compatibility across operating systems. We cannot sync keyboard shortcuts or workspaces from Mac to Windows or Windows to Mac. They can only sync from Mac to Mac or Windows to Windows. But styles and export recipes, presets, those will all be able to sync across all devices. But here's my problem with this. Again, for me to sync my settings from my desktop to my laptop, I need an all-in-one subscription. And I don't need an all-in-one subscription because I don't have mobile devices that can run the Capture One apps. It's a little frustrating to me that because I don't own Apple products and I don't have a use for the all-in-one plan, that I can't sync my settings from my desktop to my laptop. It seems like a massive oversight. As an Android user, as a Windows user, as specifically a non-Apple user, I should not have to go to a subscription plan that's an extra $100 a year just in order to sync my settings. You can't sync your settings because you don't use the mobile apps? That's a major oversight, and I think that's really going to frustrate and annoy a lot of people, myself included. But I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to know what you think. Do you think it's a mistake to require people to have a higher tier subscription just to sync their settings across their computers or add content credentials to their images? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this. Okay, so now I want to focus on the two new features that I'm incredibly excited about. And these are really great. Okay, the first one is people masking. And you'll find this in the layers and masks tool right beside its counterparts, the subject and background masking. So just like the subject and background masking features, it uses AI to create dynamic masks. Now, if we go up to the Layers and Masks tool and click on the drop-down icon on the People Mask button, you'll see that we have a number of options. Body skin, which will mask out just the skin on the body. The face skin, which masks out the face and the skin on the face specifically. Eyes, which it will include the sclera, the white part of the eye, the iris, the pupil. It includes everything in the eye. There's no differentiation there. Eyebrows, lips, and hair. So if you select just one of these and then click Create Mask, Capture One is going to use its AI masking. You can see that here, and it's created a new layer with just that section of the image masked. So if I select body skin and click Create Mask, it will mask just the skin on the body. Similarly, if I select face skin and click Create Mask, it will create a mask labeled face skin just for that section of the image. Now, if I select body skin and face skin and click Create Mask, it will create a new layer simply called Skin Mask with that mask. So it's smart enough to know that if you're selecting the face and body together, that you are selecting all of the skin. And what you'll also notice is the speed at which they do it. Once an AI people mask has been created for an image, as long as you don't create an AI mask for another image, Capture One has already done the work of breaking this photograph down into its component parts as far as the people mask goes. And so when you add a new mask, then that will be done almost instantaneously. It does not do that for the subject mask or the background mask. Those still, every time you click them, are going to generate a fresh mask, and Capture One is going to analyze the image every single time to create a fresh mask. So now these people masks, like the subject and the background masks, are dynamic masks. That means if I create a mask on one image and I make some adjustments to that layer, and then I copy that layer with that mask to another image, it's going to create new masks for the new image based on the mask type in the primary image. So if I'm just copying the face from one to another, you can see that it's creating a new mask for that new face, but copying all of the adjustments that are on that layer as well. And you can do this for multiple images as well, as long as you have edit all selected variants turned on in the app. Now, something to note here is that if there are multiple people in an image, Capture One cannot currently distinguish between any of the people. And I say currently because we didn't have AI masking even 2 years ago. So the fact that we keep getting these improvements, and this improvement is like phenomenal, maybe they'll have one in another version. I don't know. I don't have that information. This now is the worst it's ever going to be. So going back to that, it can't identify if it can't distinguish if there are multiple people in an image. It just looks for all the hair and will create a mask of all the hair. So what I do in an image with multiple people is I use the people masking tool to create the mask layer. Then I duplicate the layer. And then for each layer that I need, I will go in with the eraser brush at 100% flow and just erase the part of the mask that I don't want on that layer, that I don't want to be affected by that layer. Now, does this take time? Yes. Is it still a billion times faster and a million times more accurate than me trying to mask it out on my own? Also, yes, this is a skill that I lack. And so I'm really happy to have a computer do the work for me and for me to just go, not this part. So this is going to save me a ton of time. And what I've also done with this, and I'm going to have this in a future video, so this video isn't like 5 hours long, is I take this whole layer setup to a lot further. Subscribe. You know what? You're going to want to subscribe to get notified when that comes out, because that's coming out soon. And I'm really excited to show you some hacks that I use to make Capture One a lot faster for me. So that brings me to the feature that I'm most excited about, and that is Match Look. This is going to be revolutionary for commercial photographers, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I want to first explain what this tool is and what it actually does, and show you some examples here. Match Look is essentially a much more advanced and sophisticated version of the Smart Adjustments tool. It has the same normalization functions as Smart Adjustments with exposure and white balance, so it can generally replace the Smart Adjustments for you, but it's not limited to just people and faces in the way that Smart Adjustments are. Smart Adjustments require a face, and they work really only for portraits and really only for like one person in an image at a time. In Match Look, we have options for light and contrast settings. So the contrast, the brightness, high dynamic range sliders, levels, and the Luma curve. So that's light and contrast. For color adjustments, that would be the saturation slider, all of the options in the basic color editor, and the black and white settings. And color tone, so that's the color balance at the master level, and the shadows, midtones, and highlights, and curves in the color channels. So where the light and contrast has the Luma curve, the color toning uses the curves in the color channel. The curves will be adjusted independently of one another. If you use Smart Adjustments in your workflow, don't worry, that's not going anywhere. It's still there, but honestly, update your workflow, because this is mind-blowing. This is so great. I want to take a look at some examples of Match Look here in effect. All right, so let's take a look at this image. This is from that same test shoot I did a while back. Now, I have made a number of changes to this image already, and I want to use this as my reference image. Now, what I can do is I'm going to turn these options off, no light and contrast, color adjust, or color tone, and just stick with the normalization functions. I'm going to set this as a compare variant so we don't lose it. I'm going to click on another image here. On the Match Look tool, I'm going to only use normalized functions, and I'm going to hit apply at 100%. And you'll see there is some changes. Not everything's as exactly as I would want it. Now, if I click light and contrast and color adjust and color tone and now hit apply, now I've got something a lot closer to what I want. And I can do this for a number of images as well. I'm going to select a few of those, hit apply, and you'll see the adjustments being applied across those images. And we can zoom in and take a look at one of these. Come in, we can see the adjustments that have been made. And if we look at the other image, the original reference image, you can see the changes are different. And we're not getting clarity. So that clarity, I'm just going to punch through on all of the images here. And so now we have much closer look in terms of what I'm looking for from my final image. Obviously, not everything is the same. I would want to come in and make some adjustments on my own, but that gets us a heck of a lot closer than where we are from here to here. Okay. Next, I want to take a look at this image here. So if we look at the before and after on this, we've gotten some heavy adjustments. I also have a number of layer adjustments here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off these layer adjustments, and that leaves just my exposure, my high dynamic range, and my clarity. Now, I have a number of different looks finished for this image, so that we can see how that will apply across a subset of images. So let's take a look at this image here, this color image. Let's pull up this image here and make sure I'm resetting this. I'm going to set that as a compare variant so we can see what's happening. Now I'm going to, so in match look, I'm going to set this as the selected variant, and then I'm going to click the image that I want to apply that look to, and I'm going to hit apply. And then instantly we get something that's a heck of a lot closer to our finished product. And we can do this across multiple images at the same time. We just select them, hit apply, and that's going to apply a very similar look. So we instantly have some consistency across the full range of images and across the entire shoot. Now, I'm going to take this black and white image and set that as my reference, also set it as my compare. I'm going to select a number of images here. Now I'm going to hit apply, and let's apply this look to these images. And this is just such a... I'm so excited about this. All right, so here's why I really love this for me and for you, but mostly I love it for me. I'm really bad at maintaining a sense of consistency in my images across a shoot. Like, I get ideas into my head. I'm like, oh, this would look cool this way. I would like it to look this way. And so it requires a lot of discipline and work for me to like try and match a look. And I'm just not good at it, let alone being able to have consistency and matching a look across my whole portfolio in a specific style. Because I spend a lot of time in editorial photography, I'm used to creating a look for a specific shoot, for a specific person, whatever the topic was and the mood was of that story. And so I would try to create images that match that story. But also, when you're shooting for different magazines, each magazine has its own visual language and visual look. So you sometimes might need to adjust the way you're processing an image or even shooting an image to match the look and the tone of the magazine. Photographing an executive is going to look very different than photographing like a skate punk band for a music magazine. Earlier this year, when I updated my portfolio, one of the things that I was striving to do was to create a more unified and cohesive look and feel to my work. I created some Capture One styles, and I processed old images with these new styles. But because the styles were hard-coded, I had to spend a lot of time going in and making adjustments to the change. Like sometimes it's just like, this doesn't look good. But like a match look is going to change all that, because you'll be able to take an image. You can just drag a JPEG on there. It doesn't even have to be in your catalog or your session. You can just be a file that you're grabbing from a folder on your computer and dragging it into that reference area. You can take your best images, the images that you feel best represent your style and you as a photographer. You can drop them into the reference panel in the Match Look tool and create a preset based on your work, right? So if you're a wedding photographer and you process a lot of weddings, you can gather some of your best images. You can save those as presets, and those looks, you can just use the preset in the future to apply to an entire wedding. It's mind-blowing. Let me know in the comments how you're going to use this tool. I'd like to know and get some other ideas from you guys as well. While Match Look is going to be amazing for almost every photographer out there, for commercial photographers like me, it's going to be phenomenal in a very specific way that I have not heard or seen anyone mention at all. And that is video. Check this out. Okay, here's where things really start to get interesting. I am in DaVinci Resolve, and this is the color page of DaVinci Resolve. I have this one clip on the timeline, no audio. I'm going over to the color page where I have a node tree set up for color corrections. I'm going to explain to you what is happening in this node tree. If you don't understand this, you should probably learn how to do this. The interplay here between Capture One and Resolve is getting really interesting. So I have a video, there's a little clip, here's some videos from the same shoot, and I'm just going to hold this video right about here. And so I've got a frame, and what's happening in these nodes is this is where you can make adjustments, and the way that they're applied can be serial or in parallel to each other. These are serial nodes here, and these are parallel nodes here, and I do my contrast, high dynamic range, and hue adjustments in parallel to each other, all coming out of the same source, and then merging, and then moving forward. So in this first node, I have color space transform, and I'm going from Canon Log 3 into DaVinci Wide Gamut at Gamma 2.4. And then I have contrast node, HDR, and hue, and these adjustments are made down at the bottom here. Then I have another color space transform to take us out of DaVinci Wide Gamut and go into Rec 709. And then I have applied a LUT. And the LUTs that come with DaVinci Resolve, I have applied these Rec 709 Kodak 2383 D55. And so 2383 is a standard film stock, and so I'm giving it a bit of that film look. Going back to the gallery gives us this spot where we can store our stills. If I take my tool and I right click on this image, I'm going to find a spot here. I think that's more representative of what I want. I'm going to right click. I'm going to grab this still. Now, what this does is this creates a look. So if I get rid of these nodes here, and then I click this still, and I say apply grade, you can see it's like a preset. And so it just applies that grade back to where I want it. And I can use that throughout the shoot. But where this gets really interesting is now I can take the still, and I can click export. I'm going to store this back in here, and I'm going to call this look one. Nice and simple, and I'm gonna just export that file. Now it has the DaVinci Resolve Grady file, and it also gives me a still, and this is a PNG file. What I can do is go back to Capture One here, and then I can just drag this still right onto Match Look. You see where I'm going with this, and now I can hit apply, and it is matched the look of the still to the look of the video. And now I can come in here and I can just make some small adjustments, and I am so much closer to matching this look than this would have taken me forever. You're just trying to do it by flipping back and forth, having the screens over. They're not perfect, but it's so much better than anything that we've had before. You don't need to have an image in Capture One to be able to use it to match the look of that image. Now, what's really great about this is I can take this image from this video shoot and I can create a custom preset, and I can call it KPR Test Megan. And now that way I have this and I can apply this look to other images. And all I have to do is I can just disable the color adjustments. I don't want to change my color editors, but I can keep the saturation and the tonality. I don't want to change either. So I want to keep the contrast, the light and the contrast, and I don't want to match the white balance. So now I can take that look. So now I can take this look and I can apply it to another image, and it gets me more consistency across the shoot and the video, across the multiple assets in the different modalities from stills to video. So I can take the look that's been applied to the video and match that look in Capture One on the still images from the same campaign. So we are now matching looks from video to still. And as commercial photographers nowadays, we need to be able to shoot both stills and video. So this is going to help make everything at least look more consistent across the whole campaign. But now that we can match looks from video to still, I have a feeling it's not going to be too long before we can match looks of stills back into video. So the workflow can then go both ways like that. That is mind-blowing. That is the game changer, right? That is an absolute game changer for commercial photographers. Being able to consistently match the look of the videos to the stills across the shoot. Let me know in the comments what you are going to be using these features for, and if you like these features, and if you don't like these features. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. I'm going to have a video coming out soon that will show you how I make things lightning fast in Capture One.